I'm well aware that a large proportion of you guys out there that are watching my videos are born and bred Swedes. And for that reason, I felt like it was time to do a video aimed just for you guys. And that's not to say that I'm trying to alienate my international viewers before we've even started today's video. All I'm trying to say is that in this video, I want to dig into some of the aspects of Swedish culture that are uniquely Swedish. Some of the references that my Swedish viewers are going to recognize straight away. So today I'm going to be digging into some of the things that make Swedes Swedes. You know, the things that are uniquely Swedish that maybe you won't notice when you first arrive here, but in fact have to spend a little bit of time integrating and making your own Swedish friends and contacts before you'll begin to really understand. So I want you to follow along and let me know at the end if you've noticed these things here in Sweden yourself, or if you're from Sweden, let me know if you think I've missed anything else that is uniquely Swedish, cultural customs and habits that only the Swedes will understand. So without any further ado, let's jump right in. Number 1, holiday means holiday. That's right, you guys, the word for holiday here in Sweden is semester, and it's a protected or worshipped time of the year. Yes, because where I'm from in the UK at least, it's quite normal that you look at your entitlement of holiday throughout the year and you find a way to carve it up so you can get as much time off as possible in different parts of the year. You want a few days here or there to do a long weekend away, go and visit friends and family, or do something completely adventurous and out of the ordinary. But you don't want to clump it up. You want to make sure that it's spread out so that you get to benefit from it all the way throughout the year. Now, generally speaking, that's not what happens here in Sweden. I've talked before about the fact that the country shuts down in July. Or that's how it seems if you're coming from outside. But the truth is, that's because here in Sweden, the summer is the period where you take a whole bunch of your time off and spend with your friends and family. And part of that's probably because, of course, that's the best time of the year for the weather here in Sweden. It's going to be warm probably, milder temperatures, you can get out and enjoy the nature around you. But an important aspect here as well is the importance of really getting enough time to fully relax. A number of different Swedes have told me that if they just take a week off of work, that's not long enough to really come down from the hubbub of daily life. It doesn't give them the time to really begin to breathe, relax and restock, which is why it's quite common that here in Sweden, the Swedes will save about 3 or 4 weeks of their 6-week annual entitlement to be able to take that in the summer to really take it easy and take that break. In fact, it's even written into the law here in Sweden that you are entitled as an employee to at least 3 to 4 weeks back to back in the summer. So if you want to take 2 weeks at the end of July and 2 weeks at the start of August, you are entitled to that. Of course, your employer can come back to you and say, can you adjust that a little bit or take a different 4 weeks, but you have to be entitled to those 4 weeks clumped together without a pause in between. Another thing that can wait here in Sweden is small talk, which makes the second thing on my list of things that only the Swedes will understand. As you guys know by now, I come from the country of please and thank yous, the British Isles, where small talk is a big part of our daily lives and our culture. In fact, if I'm going to have a business meeting with somebody and we're queuing up to buy a coffee in Starbucks, for example, we'll have a whole backstory conversation about my commute to work that morning, what they're doing at the weekend, what the weather's like. Here in Sweden, they would prefer to avoid that. That's right, because here in Sweden, the people prefer to be straightforward and direct. You might think it's just a stereotype, but it really is the truth. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all. I'm not saying that they are rude or they're abrupt. It's just that if we can cut the crap and get to the point of the conversation, we'd prefer to do it. And you notice it even more right now at the minute during the pandemic, when we're doing so many of our engagements in day-to-day life online instead, on Zoom or Teams or something similar, because the Swedes just like to get to the point of the conversation. So unlike where I'm from, where you would kind of dial up into that meeting and you would probably have a 5 or 6 minute introductory chat about where they're from or what they're doing, in Sweden, you really are expected just to jump straight into the conversation. And it still catches me off guard sometimes, because I go to start that meeting and I want to say, oh, how's your day been? Or what are you doing at the weekend? But that's not really how it works here in Sweden. You ask how they are, they ask how you are, and then you begin. Swedes, tell me in the comments below that you don't recognize that in your day-to-day life. Do you really want to know what they've been doing at the weekend? Do you really want to know how many potted plants they've got? I don't think so. A third thing on my list today that is absolutely uniquely Swedish is the relationship to the sun. And I know that sounds weird without any context or any backstory, so let me fill in the details for you. One thing that you will notice once you've spent enough time in Sweden to really absorb the culture is that the Swedes worship the sun like nobody else. Yes, that's right, you guys, the Swedes have a completely different relationship to the sun to anyone else I've ever met or seen before, and it's not something that you'll truly understand until you've spent enough time here that you really begin to integrate and understand the culture. And the reason for that is probably something to do with the fact that in the winter time here in Sweden, they don't really see much of the sun. In fact, in some parts of the country, the sun will never rise. In other parts, you'll get maybe a couple of sunlight hours per month. Where I'm from, for example, this year we did pretty well, but in previous years, 3 or 4 hours of sunlight in a month isn't abnormal, and as a result, when it pops back out again, the Swedes go crazy. Yes, that's right, you guys, you might have noticed when you're wandering around town on a sunny wintry day, a number of Swedish pensioners or elderly people stood with their back against a shop front window with their eyes closed looking up at the sun. And I've always been someone that likes the sun, but you really learn once you've been here in Sweden for a while what an impact that sun makes. In fact, there's lots of Swedes that are even taking vitamin D supplements to make up for the fact that they don't get any of those sun rays during the winter time. And perhaps the truth of the matter is that the Swedes just have some sort of special contract with the weather, because it even feeds into my fourth point of this video here today, because here in Sweden there is a saying that roughly translates to there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothes, and it's something that only Swedes can understand. No, of course, I'm not just talking about the words themselves, I'm talking about this cultural and social code that they live by, which basically says that no matter what the conditions outside, you can put the right clothes on you and go out and enjoy it like it was a day that's 10 degrees and sunny. And I guess this has something to do that here in Sweden they live with some pretty extreme conditions, particularly in the winter, where parts of the country can regularly get down to -20 or -30 degrees. And of course, if you're not prepared for the weather, you have to spend the rest of your life inside the house, which of course is cozy, but here in Sweden they have learnt to deal with those conditions, to have the right things and the right outfits and the right tools to be able to go outside and enjoy it like it was any other day of the week. And I've said it before and I'll say it again here today, but the Swedes have a very special connection with nature and the natural world, so they're not going to let the weather dictate whether they can go outside and run in the forest or go down the street and enjoy the local lakes. No, of course not. The weather is not going to adapt for them, so they're going to adapt to it. The fifth and final thing on my list today of the cultural customs and habits that only Swedes will understand is that there's no time like the present. And maybe this helps us to explain why the Swedes are so good at innovation and sustainable living, for example, because they're not prepared to just wait around for tomorrow when you could just do it today. And you can even see this in their attitudes to DIY and getting the job done at home yourself, because if you speak to any Swedes on a Monday morning, the chances are they've spent the weekend painting some room, preparing some furniture, doing their own plumbing. Why wait around to pay someone else to do it when you could just do it yourself? So there you have it, you guys. There's 5 of the cultural customs that only my Swedish viewers are going to understand. If you come from somewhere else in the world, I would love to hear from you down in the comment section down below what surprised you most of those 5 things. And if of course you're Swedish yourself, do you agree? Was there something else I should have mentioned that I missed out? Let me know down in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, why not like this video and subscribe if you haven't already? I do new videos every single week at the minute, and it would be great to have you guys along for that journey and to be watching when the next video comes out. That's all I had to say for today though, so thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. But until then, have a great day, whatever you got planned. Bye bye.